Hi everyone, Silvio here, and for something different today, I have started reading the Wheel of Time series for the first time ever. So, this is not a review, just my opinions and predictions about what's gonna happen next, and just is something that caught my eye or ear significant or not. And today I will be talking about first 10 chapters, or rather the prologue plus 9 chapters. So we set a scene with a prologue which, from what I gather, happens in the past. We are introduced to a very violent scene, and to be honest, I didn't care all that much about it because the dragon thing and the Wheel of Time turning, I'm sure it will be repeated and expanded upon in the chapters to follow, or even the books to follow. It is a long book series, but it was whatever. Real start now. We start with a character called Randolph Thor. He's the son of a farmer, Tam, and they live in a place called Westwood. And so they live in the area which is called Two Rivers, and they're kind of seen as the odd ones. Maybe that's the wrong word. Brave ones to live outside of the Two Rivers area in which all of the villagers live. They live in a farm that's remote from the actual village. And they are going to a festival, to the Emmonsfield, which is the name of the village. Now, immediately something that I liked was the picture that Robert Jordan paints, a picture of a small community. I think this is very well done. The whole thing with the silent rider, mysterious rider that Rand can see, I'll talk about this a bit later, but what I enjoyed was the feeling of community, the way it was described. It was very well thought out, I think. I have not read Wheel of Time prior to this, but being a member of various fantasy communities, even listening some of the songs I like by the metal bands I enjoy that reference Wheel of Time. I do have some of the very minor details like names of the characters, and some of the characters are liked or disliked to various degrees. So one of the characters I actually heard about was Ninaive. The what was her Wisdom. Her title was Wisdom, which is this version of a town healer, someone who is very skilled with herbs, and they actually hold a lot of power in the every village. And we learned that this town healer is named Ninaive. I'm sorry. And there's this feeling that we get at the beginning that some of the villagers, namely a fella called Wit, kind of sexist towards her, because we do know that only a woman can be a wisdom, but there seems to be some kind of animosity towards her because she's very young. And honestly, from what I heard about this character in the past from other people, there seems to be a dislike towards her. I didn't get this impression, honestly. I can totally see why would she be so. Why would she have such an attitude? Why would she be so snappy at people? Because being a wisdom seems to be like a great deal of pressure on a person, a lot of responsibility because they heal people, they predict weather, things like that. And I never saw it as her being mean. Having a temperament, sure, but never as being mean. One thing I I really should stop saying that word. One thing that struck me was that Robert Jordan was trying to paint a picture of an idyllic place, like Shire, for example. And yes, I've heard the comments that Eye of the World, the first book in the series, is quite a bit of inspired by Lord of the Rings. And honestly, that didn't bother me all that much. Maybe it was because I have read quite a few of rip-offs, straight up rip-offs of the Fellowship all over the years. I mean, the Shannara books, the first one, that's that's just unashamedly copying Tolkien. So I had no problem with this, and there are some significant differences in the Fellowship of the Ring. The Shire is this idyllic place, and there is a threat, but the threat is an outside threat. And here we learn that there's a winter. Winters are really harsh. The crops are dying. As much as the people live peacefully, there is an internal problem with the actual environment where they live. So it's not as idyllic as you'd think. And this is a small community, agrarian society, all that stuff. We also learn that Rand, the main character, he looks quite a bit different from everyone else, which is a hint that maybe he is not exactly a local because no one has gray eyes like him, but people accept him, and there we meet his friend Matt. Now to the topic of the Black Rider. At the very beginning, when they're walking, they see this hooded figure, this rider that seems to radiate evilness from within, but only he can see him. And turns out not only him, but a few of his friends, but none of the adults saw the rider. And immediately I get Nazgul vibes from them, which is again fine, a bit on the nose, but fine. And Matt's friend, we learn, is a mischief maker who pulls pranks on people, and Rand sometimes gets in trouble for getting talked to or just being in the vicinity. But nevertheless, they're good friends. Now, we meet this whole group of characters, the villagers. We learn a bit about the internal politics of the village. Rand and his father are visiting the village because there is a important festival that is nearing, and they are even though it's dangerous and the weather is really bad, they're bringing some of their homemade spirits for the festivities. And we do know that something else is happening as well. It's not going to be just another festival. We learn through a younger character, which is younger than Rand and his friends, a character named Ewan, which is this stereotype of an over-eager, ready to impress others, a young boy who tells them that complete strangers have arrived in town. There is this noble woman named Moraine, and she has a bodyguard named Lan with her. And immediately we have this, oh, these are for sure important characters. And there is some kind of clashing happening between the wisdom Neve and Moraine. They seem to clash. And Moraine is this mysterious figure who is asking questions around the town, and she does meet Rand and Matt and the young boy, and she gives them a coin saying that she might need their favors from them one day. And yeah, the prose is, I wouldn't say it's bad, honestly, but the way Moraine is described is kind of a bit purplish, purple prose. But I am enjoying this. There is a peddler that comes into town. A peddler is usually, especially in the medieval times, it's someone who brings like things to sell into remote communities, but equally important, they bring news from the far off places. And we learn that there is a war raging on, and that people of Two Rivers are a bit isolated because a traveling gleeman, a gleeman is kind of a bard of this world. He tells them that the news of the war is nothing new, and you're only now learning this because you're so far away and backwards. We also get introduced to a new character named Perrin. I think he's a blacksmith's son. And honestly, I see what Dorba Jordan is trying to do here, but I think he is introducing characters too fast, I think, because I can see that they are, all of them, pretty much all of them, are going to be very significant, but I think he piles on too much at the very beginning, because we also meet Egwene, which is I guess a love interest of Rand's. She's a daughter of the mayor, and she's an apprentice of the wisdom. She's trying to become a wisdom, and maybe she's interested in Rand, maybe she's not. There is something there, but she also wants to do something else. She's not ready for a marriage because there is this marriage ceremony. Not marriage ceremony, it's like a dance, I think, where people, when the unwed women wear something, I think, and then it shows that they wish to be married. I didn't catch that quite well. So Honestly, pretty good. Not as gripping as I thought. I am interested in what's gonna happen. What else? Oh yeah, the most important thing. One of the things that I did not like was as I said, this is not a review. This is just my unfiltered opinion, unedited. Is that some of the cliches, and I think they are cliches, not tropes, because tropes are tools. It's what you do with them. An overused cliche is a trope. Some of the things some of the phrases, I think, kind of just throw me off from time to time. For example, Rand and his father, they leave before the actual festival starts, and Rand is super looking forward to this event, but he listens to his father. They go back to their farm, and then there they are attacked by beings called Trollocs. And now Trollocs are just stand-ins for orcs. That's not my problem. There are many other works of fiction, fantasy fiction, that have their own versions of orcs. And not even that, honestly, I think that Trollocs are all right, because in contrast, I instantly remembered Inheritance Cycle. I don't remember what were they called, but they were such a poor amalgamation of orcs and goatmen. I think it was a bad example of orc stand-in. But what bothered me was, so they are ambushed in their house. Rand's father is wounded, and in the instance when Rand returns to the house, to their farm, to retrieve medicine for his father, he meets a Trolloc that's alive there, that stayed. And there's this phrase, "Words distorted from the mouth that was never meant to speak." I've heard so many variations of that phrase over the years. I just rolled my eyes. And that's probably not Robert Jordan's fault. It's probably an example of Seinfeld is unfunny trope, where something is so influential that you probably read and experienced works that were largely inspirational for these things, but you have not read the source. And when you read the source, you have a feeling that it's unimaginative, but in truth, it's the source is what started this whole cliche. Also, one of the things I did not like is when Ren's father is wounded, he's poisoned as well, or I think it's implied that he's poisoned, or the wound goes bad. Essentially, he is very ill, and Rand needs to get him to the village to cure him. And his father starts to speak in his fever talk, and exposition through fever, the way it was done here, him, spoiler alert, saying that Rand is not his actual child, that they found him and his late wife, Rand's mother. And I think it's already implied that Rand is the tallest person in the village, and he is still growing. He's 15. And he has different features than other people. He has different color of eyes. No one has this type of eyes in the village. We already have these implications. and then to just being hit over head that no, he is an outsider. He will get out of the village. We already know that he's going to get out of the village. We know that he does not ultimately belong in this village, even though he believes otherwise. But this was just too much. But to contrast, some of the things I did like I said, the wisdom, the way she was done, I don't think it was sexist. I think people were sexist toward her, but I think she had a very good reason to behave the way that she did. Also, I think that Robert Jordan managed to convey something that's still universal and always be universal, is that small communities being close-minded. Because when Rand manages to get his father to the village, he learns that the village was attacked as well. And the only reason why the village survived, even though a lot of it was destroyed, is that Moraine, the mysterious character, is actually this Aes Sedai member. And Aes Sedai, for me, it was just like, what if... I get a vibe of, what if Bene Gesserit but wizards, actual wizards? I don't know. How close am I? Because I know nothing of them. I just heard the name Bene Gesserit. But yeah, she survives. She attacks and repels the attack of the Trollocs on the village. And her bodyguard turns out to be this warder, I think. And he's like this magical bodyguard that's bind to her service. And we learn that even though she helped people, she even healed Rand's father, who was even beyond wisdom's help. That some of the people, the same guy who was complaining about village wisdom being too young and too bossy, same douchebag, that he's been riling up people and threatening Moraine to get out of the village because he believes in his close-mindedness that she is the reason why there have been so much trouble in their village. And I think that was very well done because, yes, small communities tend to be like that because they're very close-knit, they stick together, they have to stick together in order to survive, but also there'll always be people who allow themselves to be carried away by their fear, by their ignorance, by their prejudice, and this is what happens here. And again, I don't think this is generalizing because there are people who stand up to these voices, to these disruptive voices, to these ignorant voices, like the town mayor, the blacksmith, and he says, even you, guy who is being a complete douche-nozzle right now, you're healed. Your friends are healed. People who would not be able to walk are walking, and now you are putting disgrace on this village, on all of us, and being so ungrateful. And it is easy to see why would they be so afraid, because they have lived in peace for so long, and now there's this external factor, strangers that come in town. And, we know rationally that correlation does not mean causation, but in their eyes, this mysterious stranger have come to our village asking questions and stuff, and now we have this catastrophe on our hands. And yeah, she helped, but purposely or not, damage was done, and I want her out of this. And I think that was well done. Now, what wasn't well done was the nightmare sequence. So when Rand's father is healed and he is completely exhausted, he goes to sleep and he has this super long nightmare segment about escaping from dark forces and the voice going, serve me, serve me. That was really cheesy. That was really bad. I'm sorry. I rolled my eyes hard. yeah, the nightmare segment was a bit meh. But then again, we learned that the mysterious rider that Rand and a few others saw was this. What was the name? I keep thinking Shade. That's from Inheritance Icon. That was really bad. Not Shade. I should have taken notes. Essentially, it's this person that was Trolloc, but was one of the first Trollocs. It's kind of a same situation with orcs being a perverted versions of elves. So this hooded Nazgul-like rider was looking human-like because he was mostly unchanged, unlike the Trollocs, which are not human-looking. And we also learned that Rand has to leave the village. And yeah, that was fun. I'm looking forward to reading more. Thank you for watching.